DeAndre Hopkins ends up with the Tennessee Titans, gets a little bit chippy last night with Texans fans, and the Texans are left with people saying they have the worst wide receiving core in the entire NFL. Fair or foul? Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah, it's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room.
Welcome to the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 610 and the Odyssey app. You can see me right here. Going to be on the field in 9 days at every Texans training camp practice. We will speak to players as we do weekly during the season. You can hear that on the Odyssey app and Sports Radio 610. You can follow that information as well as every storyline that you want to hear about the Texans from people who have boots on the ground, cover the team daily, as close as anyone. So subscribe, like, ride along. Appreciate you for coming through. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. No days off. Appreciate everyone for coming through. So we had interesting stuff happen yesterday in the division. A lot of it, you don't have to reach too far to localize. The old Oilers, the Tennessee Titans, end up getting DeAndre Hopkins. Now, from DeAndre Hopkins' realistic point of view and from a Titans point of view, this is a perfect, absolutely perfect mix. It's a perfect marriage. DeAndre Hopkins, a week plus from training camp. He doesn't have to learn a new system. He knows this system. Tim Kelly was there in Houston when he was there. The Titans, who are in kind of a awkward win now mode where the ceiling is kind of limited. They have receiver issues. They're a run first squad. They get a guy who can move the chains, who can do some dirty work, regardless of how much ball you do or don't think that he has left. And it's kind of a perfect marriage right around the price range where Tennessee paid top value at the time for DeAndre Hopkins, and DeAndre ends up there. But we heard DeAndre Hopkins early in the process when he was making the rounds at podcasts. He said what he wanted. He wanted to be on a team that could win. He wanted to play with a really good quarterback. He wanted no part of a rookie quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see, if Will Levis goes in there, and it just seemed he wanted an elite defense, and it sounded like he really, really wanted to win. You could win a division in Tennessee. I could easily see that happening, but DeAndre Hopkins isn't going to win a Super Bowl with the Tennessee Titans. You got one of the best coaches in the league, in my opinion. You got one of the best running backs in the league, in everyone's opinion. But the quarterback play and the fact that even when they were at their best a couple of years ago in the 1 seed, the ceiling is a little bit limited. So while it's a perfect fit from a realistic standpoint, DeAndre Hopkins, I don't think that things went as well for him as he would have liked. He probably would have liked a little bit more of a market, and he probably would have liked, quite frankly, and regardless of the why, he probably would have liked to have been released earlier on in the process. But whether it's because of timing or whether it's because the league's kind of speaking to DeAndre Hopkins and saying, hey, we don't think you're, top 10 caliber receiver right now. We think you're more top 20, top 25. This is not, and I know DeAndre is going to make the most of it. And on Sundays, we all know DeAndre Hopkins is going to play as hard as anyone, but this is not what he originally wanted, regardless of how he tries to spin it now. And you could kind of see some of that frustration last night. A little tweet and delete from DeAndre Hopkins. There were Texans fans making the comparison, and I actually made this comparison a month and a half ago to older wide receivers going to Tennessee as their careers were on the back end and not finishing their careers strong. You had Randy Moss do it back in the day. You had Andre Johnson, and you had Julio Jones. And a Texans fan, I guess by the name of James Roy, he put a picture of Andre Johnson. He said, Texans fans have seen this movie before. Put Andre in a Titans uniform. DeAndre Hopkins replied. You can tell DeAndre was a little bit frustrated. And Nuke said, all of you will be the same Texans fans cheering after his Hall of Fame speech. The disrespect for Andre is crazy, especially what he did for the organization. Now, Nuke has since deleted the tweet, and I think that makes sense because I think presenting this as disrespect towards Andre Johnson is a little bit of a reach. If a Chicago Bulls fan talks about how hard it was to see Michael Jordan in a Wizards uniform, are they disrespecting Michael Jordan? Of course not. Andre was on the back end of his career. He's gone on record talking about how rough the time in Tennessee was. It wasn't the most fun time. He's in an old Oilers jersey. So this was an absolute reach by DeAndre Hopkins. And I think there's a reason why he ended up deleting it. Nuke has always known how to kind of not play, but build up the emotion of Texans fans and the love in Houston. There's a lot of love between Houston and DeAndre Hopkins. Whenever he became a free agent, he was taking a picture of NRG. His representatives were reaching out and saying that he was interested in being here. And he himself, I believe, was reaching out and saying it. He knows how to play off the emotions of Texans fans. We have the spelling out the team after O'Brien traded him. But in this instance, I think Nuke realized that even he was reaching a little bit there. And that was just kind of keeping it real goes wrong. But again, frustrating process for DeAndre Hopkins. You're on record saying what you want. You don't end up getting that. You're going to a team that has no Super Bowl hopes, even at their best. And you're probably looking at Odell Beckham Jr.'s contract and saying, man, I'm better than him. If only I would have got it released at that time. At the end of the day, it's going to be fun. DeAndre Hopkins in the division. Texans fans going to be excited about it. He's going to be excited about it. It's 2 extra weeks of a little drama, a little bit of buildup. He gets to come back to NRG. Texans get to play him. And at the end of the day, I don't think it's much of a threat. Do the Texans, though, have wide receiver issues? Going to get into this in the live stream tonight. We're back in live stream season. 9 questions, 9 days away from camp about the wide receiver core. To answer the question, though, yes, they do. They're considered by most outlets as the worst receiving core in the NFL, and rightfully so. There's, at the very least, the unknown is there, and the national media is not going to give the benefit of the doubt. You have a lot of question marks with guys returning. Nico Collins. You have a lot of guys who are going to be making their first appearance on NFL football fields. Tank Dell, John Mechie, among others. You have Robert Woods, who some people think doesn't have much left in the tank. So absolutely, there are questions in the wide receiver group, and that's just where it's at. Now, would DeAndre Hopkins have solved those problems? I don't think so. I think DeAndre Hopkins, yeah, you can make a case. Yes, you don't even really have to make a case. Yeah, that's the best wide receiver, but is force-feeding DeAndre Hopkins, a young quarterback, doing that in the best interest of now? How much more does your ceiling really go up with DeAndre Hopkins? The Las Vegas odds for the Tennessee Titans the win total has not moved since DeAndre Hopkins went there. I think that would probably be the same case with the Texans. So you get to look at these young guys, not saying these young guys end up being DeAndre Hopkins or anything like that, but you get to look at these young guys, you get to see what they got, you get to develop them, and you're probably spread the ball out a little bit more and figure stuff out. So good fit for DeAndre. Good job by Tennessee. Not necessarily a good thing for the Texans, and DeAndre Hopkins has to be somewhat frustrated by this. This was not the dream scenario, but it is reality. And Tennessee, you got a good one. Probably not great anymore, but you got a good one. And the Texans, there's still a lot of unknowns, still a lot of uncertainty. And DeAndre Hopkins, I think he knows this. You can tweet and you can delete, but when it comes to this day and age with the screenshots, the internet, all that stuff, never really goes away. Should be fun. Subscribe, like, right along. Live stream tonight about the Texans wide receiver situation and plenty of coverage on In the Loop Sports Radio 610. No matter what happens with the Texans, whether DeAndre Hopkins thrives or whether he goes to Tennessee to die, as many receivers have in the past, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we are all in this together. Have a good one.
Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize everything is what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop.